We should be live. We should be live. I don't know, but we should be live.
We should be live. Let me see.
It's like, and we're
it is live. We're live.
Okay. It's like, and we might be live. Welcome to the Addict Show, you guys, where we talk about the past, present, and future of gaming. I got my co-host with me, Dirt Griggity. What's going on, Dirt?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. So I'm sure some of you have noticed there's a little bit of a change with the presentation. I'm messing around with it, okay? Like the background and stuff is definitely going to change in the future. It's just I think I'm going to go with this type of framework. What do you think, Dirt? Do you think it looks?
I like okay? It, and I love the moose in the background.
Yeah, that's what I eat after the podcast. just you see me just climb out of my little frame and just shoot it. So what's going on, you guys? I appreciate everyone coming through. We got a pretty good show for you guys. We're going to talk about Starfield. We're also going to talk about this Recore, this Recore rumor going around, which is interesting. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. Xbox and Nintendo. I misspelled Nintendo. It's definitely an O, Addict. I don't know what you're doing there. We're talking Nintendo. They got some little thing going around, and it's interesting how that's going to go, and I'm kind of curious to hear your opinion on that. But Dirt, what's been going on with you, man? What you been playing?
Well, I've been taking advantage of Xbox backwards compatibility. Like I told you last week, I finished Dead Space Remake. Loved it so much, it made me want to go play Dead Space 2 and 3. 2 was awesome. 3, I'm playing it right now. It's okay. It's not as good as 2 and 1. But that's what I'm doing. I'm going to, I booted up Atomic Heart for a quick second last night. It looks great, but I'm almost finished with Dead Space 3. Then I'm going to get into Atomic Heart, and I'm still waiting for Resident Evil next month. And, yeah.
Resident Evil, yeah, I have a feeling Resident Evil is going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Because I love the other 2 remakes. Did you play the original one? You know what? I played it, but I never finished it. I played it when it came to the PS2, but I never finished it. I got like halfway through, but I was enjoying it. But now, I would say I'm a more mature gamer, a more patient gamer. Alice used to just like love action games, and like survival horror games wasn't my thing back then. But now I absolutely love them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to finish it because I finished, Resident Evil 2 remake, incredible. Resident Evil 3 remake was dope also. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to part 4.
Yeah, I think that, when it comes to stuff going on, I like these remakes, and I think that they're doing a very good job at, pretty much redefining what a remake truly is. And
absolutely,
I enjoy that. I think that we need more of that. Part of me feels like there for a while, remakes was just something that they would do and they would do it very, very half, and they wouldn't commit to how I personally feel like they should commit. And now you've seen like Final Fantasy VII remake, the Resident Evil franchise remakes. You've seen it with Dead Space. People, these companies are showing, look, we have no problem buying old games in the mass. Because I never felt like you ever heard of a remake doing like crazy numbers. It was always, it sold okay. But these newer remakes, you're hearing real numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. It's like, look, these games can sell very well, but you actually have to put the time, the money, and the effort if you want it to do well.
Absolutely. I agree with you. As long as the remakes make sense, like I still don't agree with the Last of Us remake, but like a remake, of an older game, it makes sense. Like if they remake the original Uncharted, the first Uncharted, that would be dope. That would be dope. I hope they are remaking that, but there are some other games I would love to see remakes of. So I agree with you. I love the remakes, bro. Even if it's a game that I played, I might not have played it. I mean, I played it so long ago, I kind of forgot it. Like I finished Dead Space 1. I didn't remember a lot of stuff that happened in that game. So Dead Space Remake was damn near like a new game for me.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that we have to really consider is and to a point, I feel like we're at this point where maybe we need to have a third tier. There's a remaster, remake, and I think maybe we need to have like a reimagining tier 2, because there's some games that is a little bit different, but I wouldn't consider a remake. And then there's some games that is a remaster that I would consider more of a remake, like the Metroid Prime. I think that's technically a remake, but is it? And then, when it comes to Dead Space, they changed some things around in Dead Space, but is that really a remake? What I consider a remake is something like Final Fantasy VII, where they take the base game, they expand on the universe, they make it better in all ways, shapes, or forms. Resident Evil 4, we're seeing them drastically overhauling that game to the point where you are actually very, very different in a lot of scenarios. But what I've seen on Dead Space, because I haven't played the Dead Space remake, is look, it's a fantastic game. A lot of people love it, but it looks to be just almost a 1-to-1 with the original one.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, after I finished part 1, it made me want to go back and compare to the original. And I think you're right with Dead Space. They did add some new stuff, of course. Like Isaac actually talks in the remake. In the original, he didn't talk in part 1. There's some slightly different things, but at the end of the day, it's basically the same game. Whereas the Resident Evil franchise, those part 2 and 3, those are remakes, bro. Those are complete remakes. And what you said, like you said, what they're doing with part 4, that appears to be a remake. So I agree with you.
Give me 1 second. I gotta grab my charger.
Yeah, he has to grab a charger.
Well, my headset's about to die, and let me grab this charger real quick so it doesn't die in the middle of the podcast. I just heard it go off. And I'm like, the last thing I need is just hearing it go off for no reason.
Hey, yo, Bone Slave, I agree with that Master. I'm sorry, what was it in the Master Chief Collection? It was, but I'm talking about the Halo Championship Edition. I believe it started there when you can switch from the old graphics, the original graphics, to the update. I thought that was pretty dope, bro. And the Master Chief Collection, part 2, you can do that, I believe. So that's the stuff I love, man. Playing the older games and getting to experience them over with like a FPS boost or something like that. Because I want to tell you, Dead Space 2 and 3 still looks pretty damn good. They still look pretty good. There was like a resolution upscale and a FPS boost. So part 2 and part 3 still pretty damn good, man.
Do you think that a lot of people don't like the way that Dead Space 3 was? A lot of people feel like
it was a little bit too action. It's way more action than the previous 2.
Yeah, do you think that if they let's say they go back and they remake Dead Space 2, and when they eventually, if that does well and they remake Dead Space 3, do you think maybe they should touch up certain aspects of the game?
Yes, because Dead Space 3, now this is fresh in my mind because I obviously just played them. Dead Space 2 was freaking amazing. It was, in my opinion, a little bit better than 1. Part 2 was amazing. Part 3, they just changed too much and they made it more action. Like my ammo, like you have so much ammo in part 3. I'm never like nervous that I'm going to lose ammo. In part 1 and 2, you kind of, damn, my ammo is getting low. Part 3, you have so much ammo, like it's like an action game. It's like a Call of Duty. You're going to have so much ammo. You're just shooting. So part 3, while it's still graphically impressive to me, it's not as good as the game as the other 2. And if they did remakes for the entire trilogy, they would definitely have to touch up part 3. Make it a little bit more survival horror and less action.
And if they don't do that, they need to make a lot of changes in the base gameplay. Like, I feel like there's a lot of aspects of Dead Space that make sense. And then there's a lot of aspects in that third one that didn't. Like, they had a couple chapters in Dead Space 3 where it was like dedicated to people going crazy. Mm-hmm. And I felt like you could do that. Just make it different.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. So already with the smoke. $5 super chat from MKL28. Just seen Dirt Griggity's new video about Red Dragon. Made me remember I was still subbed and unsubbed. All right, explain. I saw that. Explain to me what's going on with Red Dragon, because I don't keep up.
Well, I don't want to do console war stuff on your channel, on the Iron Lord's channel. But what happened? What made me do a video? I saw this like almost an essay. He like tweeted this long tweet showing how much against the Activision Blizzard deal he was. He actually got Twitter blue just so he can type 4,000 characters in one tweet. And it was sad to me, man. I don't know what Xbox did to this guy. I just really don't know why he hate Xbox so much, but he pretty much just, in my eyes, he was begging for them to not allow this deal. And, he's saying the same old stuff is going to hurt the industry and, less people will get to play Call of Duty, but obviously that's not the case with the announcements from yesterday, which I'm sure we'll get to later. Mm-hmm. So that's I just did a video about it saying, why does this guy hate Xbox so much? Because I used to be subscribed to him back in the day. I thought he was fair, he was unbiased, but all of a sudden he just started he goes on Twitter and hate on Xbox all day. So I just I was just kind of confused about it. So
when it comes to Red Dragon, I wouldn't say that I still respect Red Dragon because of like the content creation he's done in the past, but I think I'm more confused than anything with him now. Because sometimes it's just like, dude, what are you talking about?
I didn't get it either. Very successful YouTube channel, over 120,000 subs, and I'm like, I don't know, bro. I just saw him on Twitter beefing with the homie Tim Dog. Like they were going back and forth. I don't know, man.
Like, it's like, dude, you better than this. Like, you better than this. Yeah.
I thought so too, man. All right, so he was a respectable channel. Like, he was a respectable YouTube content creator, and I don't know what happened, bro.
Yeah. Someone said Dirt should be at 10K subs right now. There's a lot of people I feel like put out way more content and way better content than a lot of the people that have bigger followings. But the problem is we don't have people that have hundreds of thousands of subs constantly, sharing content, constantly putting you out there. Like, it sucks, man, because you see like people that grow quick, and then you always see them on Twitter and stuff saying that they don't like people that they want people to talk about games and stuff, but then you never see them sharing people that make that kind of content.
Yeah.
So, but you see them in chats talking about drama. So it's like, I don't know. But it is what it is. Yeah, definitely go sub to Dirt. Put your chat in there, man.
I'm trying to get there, fellas. I'm at 8K now. I'm trying to get there.
I think IOP is about to hit 15.
Okay.
Yeah, it was it's been a struggle, man, because once where the IOP channel don't make regular videos because that's the best way to grow.
Yeah,
it's hard to grow without that constant video salt going out over and over again. That's why you see me reach out to people like, Cliffy B, and because even though that there's a good chance they wouldn't come on, like I want to really put out there, it's like, take your shot, guys. Take your shot, because you'd be very surprised on who is interested on coming on people's show and who actually would take the time to do it. Like, I took that shot of Cliffy B, and it took a little bit to get it going because he's a busy dude, and he came on. Same thing with Colin. I know a lot of people got issues with Colin, but I took that shot and he's willing to come on. Which I think I'm gonna, because usually I just try to keep it me and you. I think the only person I would actually put on here as a third panelist member is probably like Kid Smooth, because I actually enjoy the chemistry between all three of us. But I think I'm gonna try to bring more people on that that we can bounce back off of. That's not in a toxic way. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if there's one thing that people say, people always tell me on the on IOP, why don't you guys have more PlayStation channels? Because most of them are insane. Like, go ahead and put in the chat PlayStation content creators that don't console war fish 24/7, and I'll be surprised if you can come up with 5. Like, it's that bad. People could sit there, they can say they want about the Xbox community, but there's a lot of content creators in the Xbox community that just stick to making Xbox content. They don't talk about PlayStation 24/7, but I see a lot of the PlayStation content creators, they're only talking about Xbox. They're not a PlayStation content, they're Xbox content creators.
Look, Addict, like, you know, I'm honest guy. I clearly console war stuff, talk about PlayStation fanboys all day. But like our guest last week, Plume Network, he's one guy that's pro Xbox, and he doesn't do console war stuff on his channel. He has a quality channel. There's one guy, like somebody in the chat said, Mystic on the PlayStation side. He might be one of the only guys that's a PlayStation content creator. He's actually the only PlayStation focused channel that I'm sub to, because he doesn't console war. He loves PlayStation, but he doesn't go out there bashing Xbox. And I love his content also. You know what I'm saying? So he's right, the only one I could think of. I can't think of. I don't know, man. I can't really think of any more PlayStation channels that don't talk about Xbox all day.
When it comes to every fanboy got their own little niche that annoys me. I feel like a lot of my famous toxic positivity phrase, I feel like a lot of that resides in the Xbox community, constantly, hyping up stuff we know nothing about, or always trying to turn something that is clearly a bad thing. Sometimes if it smells like shit and tastes like shit, it's shit. But they want to spray like Febreze on it and say it doesn't smell or taste like it. Right. So, it is what it is. Still love them to death, but I do feel like they be capping. So it is what it is on that. And I just feel like PlayStation, a lot of PlayStation fanboys, they're just so anything even remotely positive about Xbox, they lose their mind.
They do. They do.
Is people just gonna why do people have these loud speakers that have nothing to do with what's going on? And I'm constant, because it's starting to get a little hot, so I like keeping my window open. Yeah. But geez, when you're doing these podcasts and my window's right here, like I'm here, window's right here.
Hey, right, they gotta pump them sounds. They pumping them sounds.
Yeah, it is. What's funny is they just turn around. They didn't even come in. They didn't even park in the parking lot. So I don't know what that's about.
They just turned around.
Yeah. So all right, let's go ahead and get on with the show, man. We gotta do our little talk at the beginning. We got to get up a little bit going on there. So Dirt.
Hold on for a second. Is that thunder, man? I said it was a hell of a thunder in my I'm sorry about that. I was listening. Is that somebody stumping upstairs? Or that was thunder? I'm sorry about that. I know you guys couldn't hear it, but it kind of scared the hell out of me for a second.
Yeah. So all right, let's talk about this Starfield reveal. Apparently, it's been highly rumored. You have people like Jez, Ran, Cole. I was told something was supposed to happen last week, but something. It seemed like it was pushed back. Yes, some form of announcement was supposed to happen last week, but It does seem like it was pushed back. What I want from you is, when do you think this event? Because we have talked about it before, but I think we kind of thought it was going to happen this month. Like the announcement at least was going to happen this month, but now we're getting into the point where the further it gets pushed back, do you think that there's more and more of a chance that this might come out later of 2023 and not in the first 6 months like we assume?
No, I think it will be out in the first 6 months, because you say you heard some things. You said Jess said he heard some things. I saw Tim Dog say some stuff on Twitter today saying something will be announced Monday, maybe. So it's at the point. Obviously, I don't know. I don't have any inside information, but I think that Starfield will be out supposedly by June, hopefully by June. Yeah, I don't think they're going to postpone it to the second half. I think the game is in the polishing phase, and I believe they really want to get this game out before June. So hopefully, I don't know if it'll be later June or before E3, but I really do think that this event will be announced soon. Now, you said before the end of the month. Well, Monday is still the 27th. Still a couple more days in the month. So, it's definitely possible they can announce the show soon.
I think that, it's one of those things where, I want to hear something. You know what I'm saying? I just get so frustrated with no info. And it's like the one thing everyone wants to hear is the one thing no one ever talks about. And I think that's the biggest thing that's frustrating, because it's like, I want to see this. I don't want no more of this. Oh, Addict, it will be here. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. I'm at the point where I don't want to talk about it. I want to see it. And this is something like I'm very big on this game, like Starfield, and it just feels like I keep more and more. It feels like I have to wait longer and longer. And it's frustrating, man. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, but I think it's almost there, Addict. It's almost there, buddy.
One day it's just gonna show up, and do you still think this might hit that 6 months, or do you think we're at this point where it's probably a holiday game?
I think it's gonna hit the 6 months because part of me still thinks Hellblade 2 is dropping this year, and I don't think they want to drop those in the same in the same area. Because somebody in my chat yesterday said, "Hey man, Tameen is on vacation." He said, "I think the game is done." I said, "He's on vacation. Does that mean the game is almost ready, or is he just on vacation? But he's the lead of Ninja Theory." So I'm like, does that mean it's close to being finished? So I think Hellblade 2 is dropping this year. So I'm still thinking Starfield is the first half.
It'd be very interesting if that happens, because I think that a lot of people, they just want to see it. It's like me. I understand that people get upset that we get so hyped for this game, and it's just like, coming from someone like me, I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan. I love those. I love the old Fallout games. And to me, it's just like, I just want to see it. I'm not even at this point where I want to like see everything. It's just like, at least just show me that. You know what I'm saying?
You say you ready to see it, huh? I get it. I get it.
I mean, at this point though, like, how much longer are we going to keep going without seeing it? I think that's where I'm at. It's just like, I was very big on wanting to see the game when we did that event, and we didn't get it. And that's like one of the biggest things. Sure, a lot of people are hyped for Redfall, and I think Hi-Fi Rush did what it was supposed to. I think it stole the show, and it was the talk of the internet for a while. But I think at the end of the day, we can all agree that what people want, what people truly want, is that Starfield gameplay.
Yeah. I think Xbox knows that. I think that's why they said they're going to have their own event for it. Because Starfield is a massive game that deserves its own event. And it's going to be cool, bro.
So what is your expectations of Starfield?
I'm expecting Starfield, like, to be specific, I'm just expecting hours and hours of gameplay. I'm expecting a Bethesda game, obviously, but I'm expecting a little more polished Bethesda game, because we've seen how like Bethesda games in the past have released buggy, and like some people still don't care. They love their games. I'm expecting a more polished. I'm not saying it's going to be bug free, but I'm expecting a more polished game, and I'm expecting a game that will be critically acclaimed. I'm expecting Starfield to be in the Game of the Year nominations. That's what I'm expecting. Like I said, I believe Ty Howard, Phil Spencer, and the Xbox knows how important this game is to Bethesda, to Xbox, to the brand, and they will make sure the game is right where it needs to be. That's just my opinion. If they needed the extra time, obviously couldn't drop it last year. Okay, gave them extra time. I think they're ready for it, and I think the game's gonna be quality.
It'd be crazy, man. It's like I said, I'm curious to see how some of these people that are like highly negative on anything Xbox does, how they're gonna handle if we get Hellblade, huge success, 90 plus. Let's say Hellblade, Starfield, all 90 pluses, and Redfall is an 80 plus. Like, And Forza is like an 85 plus.
Yeah, and don't forget, Hi-Fi Rush is already 88. Right? You know what? Those things, what you're saying, is possible, Addict. That's not far-fetched. Like, that's not an impossible statement that you made. Like, there's nowhere in hell that's going to happen. No, that's definitely possible, bro.
I just want, at this point, I just want, I want to see Xbox do well. And I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on that it just makes me feel like, if we could finally have that solid foundation for Microsoft, and where they're actually pumping out, pretty good games, and we have it with Sony, like, that is such a good foundation for gaming, where it doesn't matter where you play, you could see good games.
Yeah. I think that Phil Spencer, remember Crackdown 3 and State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves and the jokes that was being made last generation, with the Xbox only makes 60 Metacritic games. And, they were like, the PlayStation guys were talking a lot of trash. The media was saying Xbox needs to step up the quality of their games. Phil Spencer paid attention to that, bro. He does. Xbox themselves pay attention to all of that stuff, and they want to change that perception. They have already changed it this generation, if you want to be honest. 2021, they won Publisher of the Year. I know people didn't give them credit. Oh, Psychonauts 2 is not their game. But look, they won it. What can we say? So I think the quality and the quantity is very, very important to Microsoft. And that's what it's about to be, man. I think it's our time.
You want to be honest, I get tired of that statement from people.
What?
This is not their game. That's not their game. Final Fantasy is not PlayStation's game, but I never not take that from them.
Right. I agree.
And the funny thing is, like, people will try to sit there and say Starfield's not Microsoft. Technically they own it, but I need to see what Bethesda does under a Microsoft budget. I'm like, that makes no sense. So we're just going to go from making good games to bad games, like, on the fly. Like, that's my issue. Like, I can understand if you're skeptical on developers that haven't really delivered.
Yeah,
but we gonna sit here and act like Obsidian ain't gonna just start. They're gonna just start making horrible games.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Like Arcane about to start making terrible games. No.
Yeah, I think for the most part, anyone saying that they're fooling themselves at that point.
I agree with you, man. I wholeheartedly agree. Like you said, Obsidian is known for making great games. They're not going to stop now. Hell, they're probably going to get better because they have Microsoft behind them. Bigger budgets. So I agree with you, man. When people see that goes to what you said. There are some people that just hate Xbox. They constantly flip the narrative, move the goalposts, or however you want to put it. We went from Xbox needs some new IP, Xbox needs some new games, Xbox needs this, to those aren't Xbox games. Starfield is not an Xbox game. Okay. So watch what happens later when there's like Redfall. What other games was in development before Xbox bought them? Psychonauts 2 was in development before I bought them. So that goes to what you said. Us Xbox guys, we will sit here and give PlayStation credit. I love God of War. Those games are great. They won't do that, bro. They will try to find a reason to not give them credit. And you heard it this generation. Organic growth, right? Organic growth. Those are not Xbox games.
I think that was like the biggest funny thing ever. It's like people arguing organic growth. And it's like, pick your battle, because sometimes that battle ain't going to win.
Absolutely.
Pick your battle. Organic All right, so, I think, for the most part, we done with that conversation. Ain't really a whole lot to have with that. I think at this point, you can even agree, show up or shut up. We don't want to see Starfield again until it's ready for a release date. I think that's one of the biggest things. Even they went out there and showed me a bunch of gameplay, I'm still going to be scratching my head and like, okay, that's funny. Where's the release date?
Yeah.
When am I playing this game? And I think people just want to see that, because at this point, Microsoft bought these studios so long ago that is one of the biggest question. are they going to use these studios and do what's right? And I think that's the biggest question people have.
Yep. I think Microsoft knows that though. So the next time they show Starfield, I believe they will show a lot of gameplay and they will announce a release date.
All right, so let's move on to Recore. You know, there's been a lot of stuff going on. We got 30 minutes and 10 seconds for the timestamp mafia. You know, I will avoid the 6 feet under for another week. First off, did you beat Recore?
Yes. I'm the only person I know that beat Recore.
I beat Recore.
Oh, so you're the second person I know to beat Recore.
Yeah, I beat Recore. And first off, give me your overall impressions of Recore. I'm curious.
I love Recore, bro. The franchise has so much potential, and you can tell it was a double A. Like, it was a lower budget game made on a Unity engine. You can kind of tell. But when it comes to the character, her relationship with like the robots, like the story, I mean, like, it wasn't much story, but I just love the gameplay. I love how certain areas, you need certain robots. The platforming, I just don't think that game got enough credit for some of the platforming that you had to do, especially later in the game. Oh my God, some of that stuff I couldn't believe I passed it. Afterwards, it was crazy, man.
Yeah, the platforming in the last tower of the game is some of the most annoying, unique platforming I've ever seen in a video game.
Mm-hmm. Annoying and unique. I like that.
Yeah, and I don't think people give them enough credit for that. Nope. You know, it's easy to break a game down. I don't see as many people giving it props for what it did do, or even give opinions on what they could have done better.
Right. I agree. Like the open world wasn't really, much there. It was just this sand, just a desert. The graphics wasn't amazing, but I thought the gameplay was solid. Like I said, the platforming was amazing. Just the overall concept of the game, I love, and I feel this franchise has so much potential. So when the game didn't really do that well, it had a low Metacritic. I was like, damn, I was wishing this game could be better, because that main character and all of her robots, that stuff, man, that's some great stuff. So I just wish the game could come back. And what's happening, Addict? Is there a little tease or something?
Apparently there was some like some update on a Twitter or something. Do you know 100% of the stuff going on?
No, I saw something that what's the name of the studio? Amateur. Yeah. They posted on the official Recore Twitter, and this is the first time anybody has posted anything on that Twitter in years. They posted something with the whole bunch of words and stuff. I don't know if it was even real words from what I saw. And people was like, hold on, man, they actually posted something on official Recore Twitter? It's making people, talk. Like, what does that mean? Like, what's going on with Recore?
That is interesting, because if you think about it, even if I'm getting a little annoyed that people are starting to do stuff like that, and then they kind of get upset if you
expect something.
Well, hold on. Let me think of why I want to say this. All right, people get annoyed when, let's say that I post on there, I'm like, look, it's been rumored that this is coming out. Like, there's a new thing now where people get upset with people just talking about rumors. And it's like, that's literally my job.
Right.
That's literally the content creator's job, to talk about all the latest stuff going on in the industry. And the funny thing is, just like, I just don't understand why. Do you think maybe it's because people just don't like this game? Do you think maybe that's it? Like, to immediately say, why are you talking about rumors and stuff?
Honestly, Addict, I can tell that Recore wasn't for everybody. Because, like, you had to find a bunch of those cores to get to the tower. And I don't think people really understood how to do that.
Yeah, they should have did that a lot better. Like, lot better.
Yeah. And you could tell the game wasn't ready when it came out, because if you look at the cover of the game, the robot that's on wheels, he's on the cover of the game, but
and
he
he's
was
not in
not
the
in
game
the
into the
he was not in the
expansion.
game until they made the definitive edition a year later. So that tells you right there the game wasn't ready. But at that time, Xbox needed games. And some of the games they had to rush out, like Recore, like a Sea of Thieves. They had to rush out State of Decay 2. They had to rush those games out when it wasn't really finished because Xbox needed some type of content. And that's what they did.
I want this game. I really, because I have gameplay in the background.
Yeah.
I really want this to be true. Like I can't vocalize enough. I've said it a couple times. I truly believe that a well done Recore could be just as big as like Ratchet and Clank. I get it. They kind of dropped the ball in a lot of different ways. But I refuse to believe that this game can't do well. I refuse to believe.
I agree.
I think that people don't want it to do well. They want it to automatically say that it's not good. But I do feel like Recore has the potential to be a great franchise as long as it's correctly supported. And keep in mind what I just said. Correctly supported. Because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that just because a game gets greenlit doesn't mean it was supported during the time it was taken to be made.
I agree. Hey, you know what? I think Delilah HD, she also beat Recore, if I'm not mistaken. She's a third person that beat it. So we all have this similar type of love for Recore and felt it was slept on, and just overlooked. Listen, I'm not going to say the game was flawless, but it was something about this game that I absolutely love, man. And if this is true and they're putting more money into the franchise, I love it because, like I said earlier, I believe this franchise has tons of potential. And you say if it's done right,
it could be their type of platforming thing. Like, all right, let's go down, Dirt. Let's get down in the trenches. What do you think needs to improve the most on Recore?
Story. I believe the graphics need to improve.
It needs to be a showcase, a very beautiful looking game.
Yeah, like if it had some Horizon Forbidden West type of graphics, oh my god, yeah, but that's two things that I believe that really needs to improve. A better way, okay, I would love to be able to choose your robots on the fly because there were some missions where you needed specific robots and you had to kind of go back to like your checkpoint or whatever you call it, your HUD or whatever you call it. That's something they should fix. If you used to be able to change your robots on the fly, I would like that. Maybe with the D-pad, up, down, left, right. So that's something I would like to. And also, like the desert was pretty barren, but they can fix that in the sequel if this is true.
It'd be really funny if a Recore. Would you prefer them to make a sequel or reboot Recore and like restart it?
I would prefer to make a sequel, and if they reboot it, I would just want a sequel and just be everything that the developers wanted the first game to be. Get off on Unity, use another engine. I mean, because Unity is a quality engine, but it's not really a AAA engine.
Yeah, it's more like indie and AA stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I would love just a big AAA version of Recore, bro.
And it's kind of weird that it was made on Unity, like being backed by Microsoft. Maybe that was like that
was during those times
thing.
Well, that was during those times, man. During those times that we're not supposed to talk about when Xbox wasn't really investing in first party. If the game was not Halo, Gears, or Forza, or a game that was already in development, that was during those years, right?
If I were a person, what I would want from this game is first thing I would want them to do is focus on redefining the platforming. Because I feel like the game needs to be on three pillars: platforming, unique combat, that they have now, just, really tighten the combat up, give it a little bit more depth, and make it look gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I think you put those three with some good, not even like amazing storytelling, just good storytelling. You would keep people up, because I feel like there's levels to storytelling. You got stuff like Last of Us. I think that is like amazing storytelling. Then you got games like God of War, which I think is good storytelling, but the gameplay really covers the rest that doesn't do. And I think you would have it, man. I really and truly think that is something that if Microsoft put money behind, that it would do it. And the fact that they're responding in any way, shape, or form is just weird, because one would think this game would be dead. There's no reason to even log into that account. But I remember I made a video that the person who played the actual main character of Recore, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know you're talking about that, and I think I know what you're about to say too.
And she was there was pictures taken of her in a mocap suit.
I saw that, yep. But it was years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. So you'll be crazy if E3 they announce Recore 2 and it's coming out this year. They've been making Recore this entire time.
Remember, that was around 2017 when she was in a mocap suit? Because I remember that.
Yeah, I remember exactly where I lived. I made a video about it. I think it's a good thing. I think people need to really try this game, and I get it. The core finding thing was annoying, and they kind of fixed it a little bit there with an update. But by then, a lot of people dropped the game, and I think that
the core finding, that was the issue.
The visualization of it needed to be redefined too, because unfortunately these days, if you want to grab a huge, massive community, you got to have the game looking really, really nice, because that's what people see. The game can have the best gameplay in the world, but if that game doesn't visually look nice, or at least average, people will tend to not gravitate towards it as much. And I think that's why it's extremely important Fable looks nice. It's extremely important that Hellblade looks nice. These games, if you want to have that God of War effect, which is funny, I'm looking at this here, this never happened. I don't remember like the robots grabbing each other like that.
Yeah, that definitely never. I never saw that either.
So I mean,
that's possible stuff they had to leave on the what you call it, the cutting room floor.
I would love to get an interview with a Recore developer. You know, it'd be interesting if I reached out to get an interview developer and they couldn't comment on anything.
Oh,
because then that's interesting, because that either you got an NDA for when you worked on Recore that somehow have lasted this long, which is unheard of, or you're working on a newer project that is Recore inspired or something Recore like, and you can't comment on it. So either way, I win. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. Do you think the combat needs to improve like drastically, or do you think that for as simplistic as it was, I do think there needs to be a little bit more depth in it?
It was definitely simplistic. More variety, because just the color coordinator. Oh yeah, press the red button for this fold. Press the blue one for this one. Yeah, a little bit more variety. Maybe add some melee and with close encounters. Just my opinion. So yeah, I agree with that. There definitely needs to be a little bit more variety.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And Delilah said that the platforming was already good. It's not that I think it was bad. I just think it at this point it needs to be redefined a little bit. The platforming was fantastic, especially when you're in that tower at the end of the game. That's some of the hardest platforming I've ever did in a video.
Lasers with the red lasers,
yes.
Bro? Oh,
there would be sometimes where they demand you to fall below lasers to jump up to go above the lasers.
It was crazy.
It was very frustrating.
That took me a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, because Smooth beat it too, and I remember being in a party with Smooth, and I don't know if you ever been in an Xbox Live party with Smooth, but he loses it. Like the moment Smooth is put in a challenge where he feels like he can't prevail, he just loses his mind. Like, and it's the funniest thing in the world to hear him struggle, but at the same time, I'm like, man, yeah, your blood pressure too high, man. Your blood pressure way too high. Because you've seen him like flip out, like on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah,
Imagine that, but on another level, and that's smooth.
The funniest thing to this day was when in 2018 when Xbox announced Ninja Theory, that they bought Ninja Theory, and Smooth was like, ah.
Yeah, I was in that.
Yeah, I remember that because I listened to it. Yeah,
there was a little bit ahead of me, and I kept telling him over. And I'm like, dude, shut up! Like, I'm trying to hear it. Like, you're ruining my experience, Smooth. All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk the paper, man. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm getting rid of the thing I was doing right there. Nintendo and Microsoft look like they actually might be working on something together in some way, shape, or form. You know, I don't know how in depth this is, to be honest with you. I just saw the initial statement. You know, but what is your responses? You know, let's go over a little bit on what the statement was as well. There was a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah. Initially, people thought that Brad Smith was kind of saying that all Xbox games will go.
No, I read it like 4 times, and I'm like, I don't understand how people like got that out of that.
Well, you know how people interpret things with Xbox. Even Brad Smith himself said in the interview, no, it's just about Call of Duty right now. Listen, man, I think Xbox is doing what they have to do. Signing a 10-year deal with Nintendo means, listen, we're putting the game on other platforms. Signing a deal with Nvidia, same thing. They're putting the game on other platforms. Look CMA, look EU, look FTC. Excuse me. We're not taking the game away. We're actually putting it on other platforms. And like Brad Smith said, if you add Nintendo and Nvidia, that's 150 million people. That's 150 million more people that could play Call of Duty or whatever game. So Xbox is doing this because I don't think Nintendo really cares about Call of Duty. Xbox offered it. They said, okay, fine, yeah, we'll sign the deal. Because Nintendo has survived all of these years without Call of Duty. I don't think they care about it like that. But it's better to have it and need it than to need it and not have it, right? So that's how I feel about it. I feel that Xbox is doing this deal, not just be like, hey, man, Nintendo, you're our buddy. They're trying to get this deal done. And putting it on a Nintendo Switch will help their case. That's just my opinion.
All right, so let me go ahead and bring up the screen in general. It's going to be above us. So we're not going to be in the video, but I do want to go over this statement right here. So Microsoft and Nintendo have now renegotiated and signed a binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players the same day as Xbox, with full features and content parity, so they can experience Call of Duty just as PlayStation and Xbox gamers enjoy Call of Duty. We are committed to providing long-term equal access to Call of Duty to other gaming platforms, bringing more market to more choice to more market to bring more choice to more players and more competition in the gaming market.
There you go.
All right, so here's my thing. The funny thing is Microsoft making agreements acting like they already own Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I didn't even think you could remember how
when they're binding contracts.
Huh?
They're binding contracts.
I get that. Bethesda, like when they bought Bethesda, they didn't want to comment on anything they were going to do with their brands afterwards.
True.
They're like, we can't do it until we officially own it. And I feel like here, they're like, look, they're just saying this is what we're going to do. This is what our intentions. And it's like, what was the difference between Bethesda and Activision? A lot of money.
Yeah, that. And also, the Bethesda deal wasn't ever scrutinized like this deal. Like we didn't hear anything about the deal being scrutinized publicly. This deal is way more money, and also you're hearing a lot of pushback, like from Sony, from FTC, from different regulators. You didn't hear anything about any pushback. Hell, like the Bethesda deal, they announced it in September of 2020. The deal was finalized around was in March of 2021. It didn't take long at all. This deal is a little different. So I believe the binding contracts is something that Xbox is talking about, because I'm sure they might have had some type of contracts, binding contracts with the Bethesda deal, but they just didn't talk about it. But with this one, they're talking about it. They're putting it out there. Like, look, guys, we're offering Nintendo this. We're offering Nvidia this binding contract because we want to make sure Call of Duty is still played by millions of people. We're actually adding additional people than what it was before. We're going to offer this same deal to Sony. Now, if they take it or not, that's up to them. But we're going to offer this same deal to them, which Brad Smith said yesterday, in his opinion, is a better deal than what they currently have now, because PlayStation deal ends in 2024. So this is an extra 10 years. So I think this is a different case. It's a much bigger case. So that's why things are going a little different.
I feel you. I think my mindset is they could have said more on the Bethesda thing, and they chose not to because they weren't getting really, under the microscope as much as they are now. Because to me, if the FTC and them came up and they're like, "Yo, we ain't letting this Bethesda deal," you would have the same stuff going on now. Then, we're gonna let this. I don't know. Do you think that because that wasn't as much, that maybe Microsoft, if they got under the same thing, they would have just like, okay, we're not buying Bethesda then?
Well,
because I feel like Call of Duty is the reason they're willing to let all this slide.
Call of Duty it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth it because Sony wouldn't push back, I don't think, about Fallout or Elder Scrolls. Sony is a big part of this. And Call of Duty is literally the best-selling game every year. So I think that's pretty much what's causing so much pushback. If this Bethesda deal was being scrutinized like this Activision Blizzard deal, I mean, I'm sure Xbox would have fought for it. But like you mentioned, $7 billion as compared to $70 billion, I think Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard means a little bit more, because it's not just Call of Duty or console PC games, is also mobile. So this deal means a lot to them, because Microsoft, I should say, wants something to do with mobile gaming because it's huge. And actually buying King is a big move. So that means a lot to them also.
Do you feel like if they were given a position where they can own Activision, but they have to spin off Call of Duty into its own company, do you think they would do that?
Brad Smith already said, hell no. He said that makes no sense.
I feel like they want it for everything. They don't want it for just one thing. And there are some things I think they would let slide, like certain things. Like, I mean, hell, they let QA teams in Activision form a union without really saying much. And I know they don't have a whole lot of control over that right now. Mm-hmm. But to me, stuff like that happening before you buy it would definitely change if you would want it or not, depending on Microsoft's stance on unions. Right. So the fact that they were just letting that happen means that they want this bad, like really bad.
They do. $70 billion. They want it bad. I just feel that they feel that gaming is huge, in particular mobile gaming. Call of Duty is the biggest game out there. That being under Microsoft's umbrella means a lot. And I feel they really want this deal, bro. You see, bro, their meeting. Listen, Brad Smith was out there. He's like a pit bull, man. He pulled out the contract. Yo, this is the contract we offer Sony. This is the damn contract. They don't want to sign it. They want this deal added. Like you said, you can tell. You can tell. They want this deal, man. And it means a lot to them.
when this Activision first thing happened, I'll say exactly what I said then. I don't really care. I'm not the biggest fan of the universe that they have built in anything. I don't really care about most Activision games in entirety. I do feel like there's some things there that would be interesting. I personally feel like we need to see more combined universes that's going on. Like, I think it would be cool if you made like a universe where if you buy them, you own Crash and you own Spiral. It's like you already have Banjo, and they all have similar art styles. Maybe not exact, but similar. Mm-hmm. So it's like, make them in their own universe. Like, put Crash and maybe Spyro in the same game, and then, put in the lore that they're in the same universe as Banjo-Kazooie in another part of the world or something.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that you can do there. I feel like that's not done as much. You have stuff like the MCU that does really well because they build on these building blocks of these characters, and they keep building on top of them, forcing the people that want to keep up with it to continue doing it. We got $5 super chat from Dave Ramos. Playing devil's advocate, ADK could bring COD to Switch without Xbox and still reach 100 million gamers. Agreement by White Knight Microsoft is self-serving.
What are you talking about?
I have no clue what he's talking about.
Call of Duty hasn't been on Nintendo since what, the Wii U?
Yeah, that's like the mindset that some of these people be having sometimes. It make no sense. It's like we can do one without the other. Like, you don't need to publicly bash one thing to get another thing where you want it. Like, we could do it all. And that's where I'm like talking about more unique stuff, because I'm tired. Is it just me, or is games starting to become bland? Like the same thing over and over again. You get unique experiences every now and then, but I do feel like there's a lot of the same type of games now.
Yeah, but see, that's because there's a lot of these companies, they're just scared to take a risk at it. They're scared, bro.
I get it, and I think a lot of that's to do with like the wrong risk can cost you everything.
Yeah,
but at the same time, sometimes you have to make these risks to be ahead of your competition.
Yeah.
Fonz, I want you on the show again, man. You got to hit me up when you got time. I love when Fonz is a unique person that I love to pick his brain. Got a $5 super chat from the Angry Therapist. Would love to see Doom Guy in Diablo. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I think Doom Guy makes more sense, but Doom Guy feels like, to me, like more of a main person. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Doom fighting some of those demons. I don't know. Like, do you think that Doom could like clash with like Diablo and angels and shit? I don't know. I think
like they don't have guns in Diablo, do they? Do they have guns in Diablo?
I can't remember. I would actually like to see Doom Guy and Master Chief in a game.
Oh man, Doom Guy, he's like badass, man.
Like, because I think that Doom, like Master Chief, obviously, I don't think he could take Doom Guy. I think Doom Guy would just destroy Master Chief.
Doom Guy is badass, bro.
It would determine on if Doom Guy could penetrate Master Chief's armor, because that's not easy to get through. I think that would be the ultimate factor if they could fight like that.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Chief is cool. Doom Guy is badass though, bro. He don't even talk. He just kills. You know what I'm saying? Doom Guy ain't no joke, man. And speaking of Doom Eternal came out with 2021, right? Or 2020? Or was it 2020?
Doom Eternal, yeah, they should be close to having another game.
Close to their next announcement, bro.
Yeah, that would be interesting, man. I wish they would do more crossovers. Mm-hmm. Like, you got a $5 super chat from Rubber Knob. Call of Duty won't work on the Switch without xCloud. Also, do you think Game Pass is coming to the Nintendo platform? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some talks like that going on right now, where you can buy it on there, but they're like, or we can give you Game Pass. I don't know. Here's the thing. Even if this happens, is it going to run good? Like, is it going to even be feasible? Remember when Fortnite came out and it was on the Switch, but it was 30 frames. And they eventually made it to where they stopped having them in the same pool as the other console. Like, they kind of unbinded them.
Yeah, they did that with the WWE 2K series. I remember it came out the same year, maybe 2017, and it was terrible. They couldn't fix it, and they never made another one for the Switch. But this COD deal can also be for the next Switch, because that has to be coming next year, right? At least, right?
One would hope.
You would think, right? You would think Nintendo Switch will come out next year or something.
We got a member chat. A member for 18 months, man. Lord Silva. Got Don Otaku. Nintendo Don the Otaku. Why do y'all just forget that Nintendo has another console dropping in the next 2 years? We were literally just talking about
I just mentioned that, bro. Yeah, I agree with you. Because it's about time.
Fair, the super chat was before we got into that conversation. I don't know. I feel like even if they did a Switch Pro 2, because I don't think they're going to go back to traditional console making. I think they'd be very foolish to do that. I highly doubt that's on the agenda. But I'd be very curious to see how, because one of the reasons that it does so well is because they're able to make a handheld that can function on a dock and function without a dock. I'm curious how much they can, because they can't have it too high. But at the same time, they don't want to. They don't want to get overshot either. Right. You know, they don't want to make a platform that's already weak when it comes out. And then maybe PlayStation. I mean, maybe Nintendo don't care. Maybe they're like,
I don't think they care, bro. I think the next Switch might be the same power. I don't know, man. As the PS4 or something. You know, I just think that Nintendo doesn't care. They're being very careful with their next console, bro. Because we said this before, we talk about this all the time. The Nintendo Wii, 104 million consoles sold. The Nintendo Switch is at 122, and the Wii U was at 13. Bro, they are trying to be very, very careful with their next console. They want to make sure it's done right, because they do not want a repeat of the Wii U.
Money
going from 104 million to 13 is crazy.
And plus, what I would want, and I know they would never do this, but I think we could all agree that a lot of their key components to traveling, playing games on the go is their Nintendo games, the stuff they make. And I think I would want them to do a kind of a hybrid where you travel with it, but I would also like that dock to pretty much like when you put it in the dock, it actually can play games at a reasonable output. So for instance, let's say, because I think that's the way it was originally intended to be, but it never got that. I feel like there was some way, shape, or form that, at the beginning you was seeing a little bit of a bump in frame rate and a bump in and everything, but then what ended up happening was it kind of slowly lost that grasp where these games are running so bad on the Switch, putting them in docks not helping. And I would want a thing, because there's a lot of games that don't come out for Nintendo. And I have my own personal beliefs in that. And I know a lot of people don't believe in it. But I personally feel like they like it that way. They like these games not coming out. Because what happens when they do that? What happens when these games don't run good on the Switch? So they don't have games like Call of Duty, games like The Witcher. Sure, they can get money for those games, but there's nothing competing with Splatoon.
Right.
You buy Splatoon or you don't play multiplayer games.
Right.
You buy their multiplayer games because guess what? There's not third-party multiplayer games cannibalizing their own games. And I think that's helped them more than anything. And I remember me and Forte got an argument on that. And shout out to the 281 people. And you hit that like button, guys. Get that up there as much as you can, man. I want to see that over 150 likes before the show ends. I know that's probably not going to happen. I'll be very surprised if it did. But to get that up there, man, let's get that over 100 at least. It's 2 likes. There's 2 of you in this chat that ain't like that podcast. They can get that over to 2, man. There you go. 99. We almost there, guys. We need one more. There you go. Thank you. We got a member chat from Fawn saying, Addict, what's your thoughts on the next Switch being completely all digital? I think they'll end up going that route. I don't. Nintendo's been very vocal about having Switch games, about having physical games because it's easier to do stuff like that. So then we got final super chat from the amazing Neil. Kitsu, this funny guy, please bring him on more. Shout out to Dirt G and the TTS crew.
What's up, amazing Neil? How you doing, buddy?
I'd like to get Smooth on here. Like, my dream pattern would be me, Dirt, and Smooth. I feel like we have good chemistry, jokes back and forth. Sure, I couldn't control them on the console war thing at that point. You know, I think they definitely pan that stuff back because it's my show. But at that point, it is what it is. Like, yeah, but do you think that Nintendo will go all digital?
Not yet. Then again, who knows, man? Nintendo do what the hell they want, and people either accept it or they don't. I don't think so. But then again, who knows, bro? Like, if the new Nintendo console comes out next year, I think next year would be too early to fully go all digital without you know what? It might be all digital, but they might have a separate disc drive. That's additional. That's additional money. Nintendo can do that.
What happens if the handheld is digital only? But when you put it in the dock, that has the physical portion of it.
So you're saying the dock has the physical disc drive?
Like, that makes sense. What I want is the dock to be pretty much an extension, not just something to project your console onto it. Like, I know Donald Taku's in there saying, the only thing we care about resolution isn't important. I'm not saying resolution is important on Switch, but you could definitely tell a difference when you play a modern game on like an Xbox, PC, or PlayStation, and you see that resolution pop, the HDR pop, and you go play Fire Emblem for the Switch. You can't tell me there's not a difference, because there is. I just beat Fire Emblem not too long ago, and there was clearly a difference.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the reason that we're not seeing as much comparison between the platforms is because there's not a lot of games that's on the Switch that's also on the other platforms. A lot of the stuff that comes from the Switch is either indie games, some second party that happens to come over that doesn't really need much to run it, or it's first party Nintendo stuff which doesn't go anywhere but that platform.
Yep. I agree, sir.
So yeah, I think that's about, real quick before we end the show though. What's your opinion on what's your games that you're looking forward to this year, man? I'm kind of curious. What's the games that you, Dirk Griffin, want to play?
Like I said, Resident Evil 4
looks so good.
Looks so good. Actually, WWE 2K23. I'm looking forward to that. I like last year's versions. This one looks good also. Of course, Starfield, Redfall, Forza. I'm definitely looking forward to those games. I'm more hyped for Redfall than anything, as far as Xbox first party. There's some other multi-platform games. I'm trying to think. Help me out a little bit, brother.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to Starfield. I'm really. Let me look at the games that's officially slated to come out this year.
Yeah, there's a game I can't remember, but I remember being hyped for it. There's a few games, man. 2023 is packed.
So we're in February. So I see Gran Turismo 7 for the VR too. I ain't playing none of that VR nonsense. I'm looking. We got Octopath Traveler in a couple days. Mm-hmm. Actually, the day after tomorrow. We got Lightfall on the 28th. So that's not this Tuesday. That's next Tuesday.
Lightfall?
That's Destiny 2 Lightfall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on that. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be on Wulong, which I may or may not be playing.
Yeah. It's Game Pass.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man. I'm very curious to hear your guys' opinion on all the games coming out this year. $5 cheaper from Cobweb. I felt robbed when I bought the Outer Worlds on Switch. It looked and played terribly, even though it didn't even look like the same game. That's part of the issue I have. I want that dock to be something, to do something. $2 super chat from Flame. Octopath 2 on Friday, the real game of the year. Just saying. I would actually play that if I had it. Like right now, I'm currently looking for another job. I can't justify spending $70 on Octopath Traveler. As much as I'd love to play it. And Square Enix, they didn't even ask me if I wanted to code. They're like, you good. There's a lot. So obviously, we got The Legend of Zelda coming out. Apparently, there's a Legend of Heroes coming out. Going on. There's plenty of stuff to play. You got the Dead Cells Return to Castlevania next month. Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting. You got The Last of Us Part 1 for PC coming out. Then you got Resident Evil 4, obviously. MLB The Show next month as well. Mm-hmm. Along with 2K, WWE 2K23. There's a lot of stuff, and that's just in March. I mean, if you look in April, you got Hogwarts coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One. God, that's going to be a horrible experience. You got the expansion for Horizon coming out. You got Advance Wars 1 and 2. You got Jedi Survivor April 28th, but I think that was pushed to May. I think that was pushed to May.
That's another
Redfall in May,
yep.
Which I'm gonna try to get us. I'm gonna try on ILP to get an interview with Redfall before that game comes out. Then you got the Darkest Dungeon 2. You got Endless Dragon. You got Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. You got that PlayStation thing tomorrow to talk about.
Yeah, State of Play. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm curious to hear real quick because we're about to pull out of here, but next couple minutes, let's talk about that State of Play. Because then people are going to say that we're being too much if we don't even at least talk about it. Yeah. It's 1 hour and 12 minutes. What's your expectations with that?
Well, they say they're going to talk about 5 VR games and games from their
that's probably 10 minutes of that thing I don't care about now.
Yeah, and games from their third-party partners. And Suicide Squad is going to be a big focus. I would like to see more of that game. It's going to be what it is, bro. I'm not expecting anything. They said they're not going to show anything crazy. They told us what they're going to show, so I think it's going to be okay, I guess. I mean, if you're into VR, I'm sure you'll be excited to see those 5 games they show. Maybe there's a big announcement. Like I saw a rumor talking about Metal Gear Collection or something. I don't know how true that's going to be, but we'll see, man. But, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. It's not their showcase. And I guess they're going to have a showcase this year because Jeff Grubb said they are. Which they probably should because they damn sure didn't have one last year. So we'll see what happens, man. But, I don't think it's going to be anything special.
So you think it's just going to be like a lot of like fluff?
I'm not going to say that. I'm just saying. I'm just going by what PlayStation said. 5 VR games and titles from our third party, and a big emphasis on Suicide Squad. So I am excited to see Suicide Squad, more of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, and clearly they got the marketing rights to them. Microsoft needs to do a better job in getting these marketing rights. I feel like they're missing out on like some of the biggest games with marketing rights. I don't think Justice League is gonna like do numbers like that.
Yeah,
but I do think that it is a good game to have marketing rights to, and they need to do a better job on that. I think that you might see some indie games that people like. I think you might see some Japan games coming in here. Some Square Enix, maybe the release date for Final Fantasy Pixel Collection. I don't know if that's a release date or not. But I think you might see something like that. I'm just curious on exactly, why they haven't did their first party showing. Like a full-blown, we're showing you everything coming out for our platform in the next few years. Like, because this isn't like Sony. Sony has no problem coming out there and say, these is what's coming out. You know what I'm saying? But I think here recently, they're kind of like shying away from that. Like, they don't want to do that anymore.
I think it's pretty obvious, man.
Do you think it's pretty?
There's nothing ready. Like, listen, I'm not gonna be a bot. PlayStation has definitely had more exclusive first party exclusives this generation than Xbox. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that you can put on the shoulders of having smaller IPs.
Mm-hmm.
You can get those kind of projects out more, and that's not necessarily anyone's fault.
Yeah,
I
and
think
plus these games are in development last generation. I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah, Microsoft needs to do better in general on stuff like that. We got a $2 super chat from Flame. He's saying, let me make sure there's nothing above that. I felt robbed. Yeah, I already read that. $2 super chat from Flame. Octopath 2 on Friday. The real game. Yeah, I already said that. Then we got a $2 super chat from Nintendo Don the Otaku. The only one that matters is Tears of the Kingdom. And then you got a $2 super chat from Randy G. Octopath Traveler 2 is $70. Square Enix is on serious drugs. Flame says it's $60, and I'm willing to put Flame's knowledge on that particular game more than my own. So I think it's $60. But even when you look at a game like that, and I know that you shouldn't judge a game off of the criteria and how it looks, but I look at something like that and I do think that, okay, is this game worth $60? Octopath Traveler 2. And I know it still took a lot of time into that, but I feel like there's an issue in the industry on pricing games. Mm-hmm. Not every game needs to be $60, and I feel like it would sell better if it wasn't.
Right.
And I look at something like Octopath Traveler 2, and I'm like, for $10 more, I could buy God of War if I didn't have it.
Right.
And to me, when you price yourself at that type of price, who are you really helping? Because you're going to have a bunch of people. Look what's coming out. Hogwarts Legacy. You probably got Starfield in the next couple months. Redfall in the next couple months. Like, why are you pricing yourself at $60? Because at that point, when you get $60, you start being compared to $60, $70 games. Mm-hmm. And a game like Octopath Traveler 2, even though that I think it's going to be a fantastic game, would you want that being compared if you were making it to a $60, $70 game?
Right.
It's just some food for thought. I think $40, I think that game would sell better in general. But Square Enix, they like that money. And if they can get for it. But we saw Octopath Traveler sold very well on the Switch because it was one of its founding release titles. Mm-hmm. That's not the case here. You're going to have to go out there and stand on your own merits and sell. And I don't see it doing it. I just don't. We have been all over the place the past 30 minutes. All right, so that's pretty much all. My PlayStation predictions. We're just they're going to give us games that we enjoyed. I don't think it's going to be anything bad, but I don't expect anything serious either.
No, I don't expect anything serious. I think it's going to be fine.
So, we are at the end of the show. I'm going to start putting the ending of the show timestamps. I've had some people message me over that.
Yeah, I usually do that. Ending of the show.
Yeah, so Dart, what's going on with you, man? What you got going on for people to do?
Not too much, man. I dropped a video earlier talking about the Red Dragon. Yeah, he's on Twitter tripping right now. Check out my latest episode of WBG. Last Monday we had a lot of fun. I also did I like to call it One Man Dark Man podcast. When it's just me, I go out there, do about an hour and a half. Just me by myself. I did that yesterday. So check it out, guys. Let me, of course, put my
You should have an intro for that podcast where you're sitting there with imagine those director seats, and there's a director seat for everyone. Yeah. And you come in and you sit down, you look around, you're like, I guess it's just me, and it goes to the show.
Just me. I like that. It's just me.
Yeah, but definitely spam it, man. One is not good enough. You gotta spam.
I'll be doing it on my phone, so I don't know. I can't spam it as much.
I will spam it if you can't do it. I'm gonna have to. My computer running real slow here lately.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Go on there and follow him, man. We close. He close to 10,000, right? Is that what you said? 10,000?
No, I just got to 8.
Oh,
so
8.
I still got a couple more thousand to get, but I hopefully, I should get it before the end of the year. Hopefully,
got to get you up to that 10,000, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Like once you hit 10,000, I ain't hit that on my personal YouTube channel, which it's a lot of my fault. I need to be more consistent on there. That's on me.
Yeah, because you don't do a lot of content on there, bro.
I used to, but it's just like here recently, there's just so much stuff going on, and I feel like there's only enough room for like one thing. So I think next week I'm gonna start up the content drip there again. I'll probably try 2 videos a week. I think that's gonna be my goal. Here's my channel, guys. If you want to go over there and sub to it, yeah,
sub to Addict, y'all.
I actually never really promote my personal YouTube channel. Well, that's my personal YouTube channel. Go over there and sub to that. I appreciate you for coming through. We add up to like 310 people at once. You guys come here every week. IOP this week, I don't think we're having a guest. I think so. Next is Addict don't want the work, not even timestamps. I think. Okay, look. I review games. That takes a lot of time. I do everything on Patreon. I do all the social media stuff for IOP. That takes time. I do all the shorts for the podcast. So anything goes on TikTok, anything goes on shorts, I do that too. I do a lot of the thumbnails that's not ILP for the podcast. I direct all of the community events and anything like that. So look, like my ILP keeps me busy enough, and I think I'm gonna have to just start being like logistic and just start doing stuff as easy as I can do it. But I appreciate you for coming through. We're gonna go ahead and head out of here. We'll see you next week. Definitely follow me on Twitter at Lord Addict ILP. Lord Addict ILP. I'm trying to get to 5,000 followers on there, man.
Go,
trying to get to 5,000. I'm still a little bit away, but I'm trying to get to 5,000. I'm like 900 away, but trying to get to 5,000.
That's not bad at all, brother.
But I appreciate you for coming through, and we'll see you next week.
Peace
out. Until next time. This is Addict